The detention citadel known as Shadow Hold festers in the decaying orbit of Morvath Prime, a dying star whose final death throes paint the sky in perpetual twilight. I am Recording Officer Zell Craven, and in my 600 cycles serving the Revethian Collective, I have documented the psychological annihilation of warriors from 19 spacefaring species within these obsidian walls. This facility houses our most sophisticated extraction artists. Not common inquisitors. These are beings who volunteered because standard interrogation felt like cheating. The ones who collect existential despair like rare vintage wines. Today's session promises exceptional entertainment. We have captured a human. A single specimen from that insignificant waterworld designated Terra 9. A species whose mental architecture resembles a malfunctioning navigation computer. Our facility has never processed a human. Most of us assumed they lacked sufficient neural complexity to justify the allocation of resources. But this one apparently sabotaged a Revethian supply fleet using only a broken chronometer and what witnesses described as annoying optimism. The transport pod docked with the grace of a falling asteroid. Through the reinforced viewport, I watched 4 Revethian shock troopers escort our prize toward the intake facility. The human walked with the loose-limbed ease of someone returning to their childhood home rather than arriving at their probable execution. Sergeant David Cruz. Age 27 Terran years. Height 5 feet 10 inches. Weight 160 pounds. Pale skin mapped with fading scars. Gray eyes that catalog everything. Hair the color of rust. His file contains a single flagged notation from his commanding officer, volunteered for capture. Recommended for psychiatric evaluation. Commander Vorn Hex, our facility director, observed the arrival with all 3 mouths twisted in visible disappointment. This is what required 4 shock troopers. His voice carries the resonant frequency that has shattered sanity membranes in 12 documented species. The transport captain, a battle-scarred veteran named Jax Volek, shook his massive head. Commander, during transit, he disabled our restraint systems. With his belt buckle. When confronted, he simply said, "Accessorizing saves lives." Commander Vorn's 7 eyes narrowed simultaneously. Primitive luck. Meaningless. But I noticed something the commander did not. As the human passed beneath my observation window, he looked up, directly at the quantum glass, directly at me, and winked. Then he tapped his temple and pointed at my position. The interrogation chamber, designated the Mind Flayer's Theater, represents the pinnacle of psychological warfare architecture. The walls weep condensation that changes color based on the subject's hormonal output. The temperature cycles between hypothermic and hyperthermic extremes. The seating arrangement ensures the subject experiences the sensation of being surrounded by a hunting pack. Today's panel consists of our most decorated specialists. To my left sits Kalen the Render, a Varaxian whose razor-tipped fingers have transcribed confessions from the nervous systems of 17 planetary governors. Beside him, Mistress Vesper, a Sylvani empath whose emotional manipulation has reduced war heroes to whimpering children. Across the table, talks Prince Mocker, whose exhaled breath carries 23 distinct psychological braking agents, each calibrated for a specific species. Commander Vorn takes his position at the head of the obsidian table, his massive frame absorbing light itself. "Today," he announces, his 3 mouths speaking in terrifying unison, "we dismantle a human." The door hisses open. Sergeant David Cruz enters the room, surveys the assembled collection of the galaxy's most feared predators, and does something absolutely unprecedented. He starts doing jumping jacks. Kalen the Render strikes first, naturally. His 7-fingered hands extend, each digit terminating in a neural filament capable of transcribing pain directly into the subject's nervous system. The sound they make, a wet, hungry whisper, has historically caused immediate surrender in lesser species. He lunges across the table. Sergeant David Cruz doesn't stop his jumping jacks. 1, 2, 3, he counts, barely out of breath. "You know, cardio is really important for..." Kalen's filaments touch his shoulder. The Render freezes. His eyes go wide. What is this?" He jerks his hand back as if burned. "Your pain receptors, they're wired backward. You feel pleasure from expected agony? This makes no evolutionary sense." Cruz stops jumping and grins. "Yeah, we call it adrenaline. Great stuff. Want to see my resting heart rate? It's 48. Doctors think I'm a corpse until I move. Mistress Vesper decides to demonstrate why empathic extraction remains the collective's most feared method. Her silver eyes ignite with that characteristic Silvani emotional probe luminescence. She reaches into the human's emotional matrix, preparing to weaponize his deepest insecurities. Instead, she screams, a thin, reedy sound that echoes off the weeping walls. His emotions. They are laughing at me. His fear is mocking my intrusion. She collapses against her chair, trembling. There is something called dark humor. And gallows laughter. And schadenfreude. He is enjoying this. Cruz nods sympathetically. Yeah, we're kind of broken that way. Stress does weird things to the human brain. For example, he taps his temple. Right now, I'm mentally reorganizing my Netflix queue while calculating the exact distance to that door and humming the theme song from a cartoon I haven't seen in 15 years. Want to hear it? He begins whistling something absurdly cheerful. Tox Prince Mocker releases a concentrated cloud of his deadliest compound, enough to liquefy a Revethian warrior's cognitive functions in 10 seconds. The gas envelopes the human, who inhales deeply and smacks his lips. Interesting, Cruz says, sampling the air like a wine connoisseur. Notes of ammonia, burnt almonds, and, is that cinnamon? Your chemistry needs work. On Earth, we use this stuff to clean drains. Also, fun fact, he takes another deliberate breath. Humans from industrial planets have basically marinated in airborne poison for 3 centuries. You're going to need something much stronger. Tox Prince Mocker's breathing sacs deflate audibly. His compound reservoirs begin leaking existential despair pheromones instead of neurotoxins. Commander Vorn finally speaks, though his 3 mouths no longer sync properly. One stutters. Another whispers. The third remains frozen open. This is not proceeding according to psychological doctrine. No, Cruz agrees, walking toward the head of the table with unhurried steps. This is proceeding according to human doctrine, which you should have studied before you captured me. He stops behind Commander Vorn's chair, places a hand on the massive predator's trembling shoulder. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to learn something terrifying about human military capabilities. And then you're going to let me walk out of here. Not because I'm stronger than you. Because I'm about to become your best friend. The alarm systems begin to wail. Cruz's backup signal. Right on schedule. Commander Vorn's 7 eyes blink in desperate sequence. You planned your own capture. Of course I did, Cruz says, pulling a small recording device from his sock. We've been studying this facility for 11 months. The psychological profile of damaged predators abandoned by their empire? Classic recruitment opportunity. Human resources loves you people. He walks toward the door, then pauses. Oh, and Commander, the transport that brought me here? It's been broadcasting a homing signal since we landed. My extraction team consists of 100 humans, 3 therapists, and 1 very enthusiastic HR representative with a personnel file for each of you. The door closes behind him with a soft hiss. I, Recording Officer Zell Craven, have spent the last 6 hours reviewing this footage. Our interrogation specialists are now updating their resumes. Human space is receiving transfer requests. We have encountered weaponized friendship. And it is absolutely terrifying. Commander Vorn Hex has not moved from his chair in 47 minutes. His 7 eyes stare at the closed door where Sergeant David Cruz exited, his 3 mouths occasionally forming silent words that never quite emerge. The rest of us remain frozen, as if the human left behind a paralysis field instead of a recording device. I, Recording Officer Zell Craven, approach the table where the small black cylinder sits. Its surface pulses with a soft amber light. On it, a handwritten label in human script, "Play me. You'll feel better. Promise." Against every protocol, against every instinct hardened by 6 centuries of service, I press the button. Cruz's voice fills the chamber, warm and infuriatingly calm. Hey, Shadow Hold team. If you're hearing this, I'm already gone. But before you trigger the alarms or file the incident reports or do whatever species-specific stress response you're about to do, just breathe. Seriously. Take a moment. Kalen the Render, whose neural filaments have reduced 17 planetary governors to vegetables, takes a breath. Mistress Vesper, whose empathic probes have broken war heroes, takes a breath. Tox Prince Mocker, whose compounds have ended countless lives, takes a breath. You're not failures, the recording continues. You're survivors who got placed in a broken system. The Revethian Collective didn't send you here because you're the best. They sent you here because you're damaged, and damaged tools get locked in the drawer where no one has to look at them. Commander Vorn's primary mouth finally closes. His secondary mouth whispers, "How does he know?" "Here's what I left in your personnel files," Cruz's voice says. "Kalen, your neural filaments aren't weapons. They're diagnostic tools. Your species originally used them for healing. Deep tissue repair. You were a medic before the war made you a monster. Remember that." Kalen looks at his own hands as if seeing them for the first time. "Vesper, you're not broken. You're suffering from empathic overload. Every mind you've ever touched left a scar on yours. There's treatment. Human medicine can help. We've dealt with this before. We call it compassion fatigue, and we've been fighting it for centuries." Mistress Vesper's silver eyes begin to water, a physiological response previously undocumented in her species. "Mocker, your toxin glands are degrading because you've been forcing them to produce compounds they were never designed to create. Your biochemistry is optimized for preservation, not destruction. You should be synthesizing medicine, not poison." Tox Prince Mocker releases a small cloud that smells, impossibly, like hope. "And Commander Vorn," the recording says, softer now. "3 mouths. 7 eyes. Designed by evolution to be a negotiator, not an enforcer. Your species historically resolved conflicts through consensus, not coercion. The Collective turned you into a weapon, but that was never your purpose." Commander Vorn's massive frame shudders. His third mouth, the one frozen open for 47 minutes, finally closes. "Here's the resolution," Cruz's voice concludes. "In approximately 3 hours, a human transport will arrive at your docking bay. It will contain no weapons. It will contain medical supplies, psychological rehabilitation resources, and transfer papers. You have 3 choices. Stay here and continue being disposable. Run and spend your lives fleeing. Or come with us and let humans help you remember who you used to be." The recording ends. Silence fills the chamber like water filling a sinking ship. Kalen the Render stands first. His neural filaments retract completely for the first time in decades. "I remember," he says quietly. "I remember healing." Mistress Vesper stands second. "Compassion fatigue," she repeats, testing the words. "They have a name for it." Tox Prince Mocker stands third. His next exhaled cloud carries the scent of lavender and something almost like peace. Commander Vorn Hex rises last. His 3 mouths open, not in unison, not in threat, but in something that might be a smile across 3 separate channels. "I want to meet this human resources representative," he says. "I, Recording Officer Zell Craven, will include in my final report that Sergeant David Cruz did not walk into a room full of elite alien predators and escape. He walked into a room full of broken people and offered them a way home. The Revethian Collective has lost 4 interrogation specialists today. Humanity has gained 4 new recruits. We have not encountered an enemy. We have encountered a rescue mission. The human transport arrived exactly on schedule. I watched from my observation post as the sleek silver vessel docked with a kind of casual precision that suggested its pilot had made this approach 100 times before. No weapons emerged. No shock troopers. Instead, a single figure walked down the ramp. She was human. Female. Dark skin, close-cropped white hair, and eyes that held the particular stillness of someone who had seen things she would never discuss. Her uniform bore no rank insignia. Her only visible accessory was a leather satchel worn smooth with age. Commander Vorn met her at the docking bay threshold. His 3 mouths remained closed, a gesture of respect in his species that he had not offered anyone in 30 cycles. "Captain Ilara Vance," she said, extending her hand in the human gesture that still made no evolutionary sense to any of us. "Human resources. I believe Sergeant Cruz left you a message." Kalen the Render stepped forward, his neural filaments twitching with barely contained curiosity. "You are the HR representative?" "I am." Her smile contained no warmth and no threat, something far more disconcerting, genuine neutrality. "I'm not here to recruit you. I'm here to offer you a choice. The difference is important." Mistress Vesper's empathic senses flickered. "You are not lying. You genuinely do not care whether we come or go." "Correct." Captain Vance set down her satchel and opened it, revealing data slates, medical scanners, and what appeared to be a collection of colorful pamphlets. "Humans don't want soldiers who were coerced into service. We want people who choose to be there. If you stay here, we'll respect that. If you run, we'll help you find somewhere safe. If you come with us," she pulled out a small device that projected holographic files into the air, "we have already prepared rehabilitation plans tailored to each of you." Tox Prince Mocker leaned forward, his compound sacs pulsing erratically. "Why? What do you gain from this?" Captain Vance's eyes met his. "You want the honest answer." "Always. Because the Revethian Collective has been expanding toward human space for 7 years. We could fight you. We will fight you, if necessary. But we'd rather make you question why you're fighting at all." She gestured to the holographic files. "Every interrogation specialist we convert is one less weapon pointed at our children. Every broken predator we heal is one more voice telling your empire that humans aren't the enemy, the people who discarded you were." Commander Vorn's primary mouth opened. "You are using us." "No." Her voice hardened for the first time. "Your empire used you. We're offering you a trade. Your expertise for our medicine. Your loyalty for our protection. Your pain for our attention." She reached into her satchel and pulled out a small glass bottle filled with iridescent liquid. "This is a neuroregenerative compound. It will repair Mocker's toxin glands within 6 months. It will heal Vesper's empathic scarring within 1. It will restore Kalen's neural filaments to their original diagnostic function." She set the bottle on the floor between them. "I'm leaving this here. If you want it, come find us. If not," she picked up her satchel and slung it over her shoulder, "I recommend you delete the surveillance footage from this conversation. Your empire would not understand." She turned and walked back toward her transport without waiting for a response. Commander Vorn stared at the bottle. His 3 mouths cycled through expressions that had no translation in any known language. "Recording officer," he said without looking at me. "Delete the footage." I hesitated. "Commander, protocol requires." "Delete it." I deleted it. The transport departed 17 minutes later. 4 hours after that, Commander Vorn submitted a formal request for reassignment. The request was denied. He submitted another. Denied again. At 0300 station time, Commander Vorn Hex walked onto the docking bay, picked up the glass bottle, and triggered an emergency beacon that Captain Vance had left hidden beneath it. I stood at my observation window and watched the silver vessel return. I did not report it. Some secrets, I am learning from the humans, are worth keeping. The silver transport departed Shadow Hold for the final time at 0617 station time. On board, Commander Vorn Hex, Kalen the Render, Mistress Vesper, Tox Prince Mocker, and 17 other interrogation specialists who had silently filed onto the vessel during the night. The docking bay, once filled with the galaxy's most feared predators, now echoed with emptiness. I remained at my observation post. Recording Officer Zell Craven, 600 cycles of service, now facing a single unavoidable question. What do I put in my report? The official version writes itself. Personnel departed following unauthorized transmission. Circumstances under investigation. Clean. Precise. Utterly false. The truth is far more disturbing. Over the past 18 hours, I have reviewed every piece of data Captain Ilara Vance left behind. The pamphlets, the medical files, the small glass bottle that somehow contained both medicine and a homing beacon. I have also reviewed something else. Something she did not intend for me to find. Hidden in the margin of one data slate, encrypted with a cipher that took my systems 3 hours to break, was a personal message addressed to me. Recording Officer Zell Craven. You've been watching for 600 cycles. Documenting the breaking of minds. The cracking of spirits. You've never once been asked how you're doing. Here's your answer. You're suffering from vicarious trauma. Prolonged exposure to psychological distress without adequate support. Your species calls it duty. Humans call it damage. The bottle I left contains a compound that will help. It's not too late to choose differently. I have not touched the bottle. I have not deleted it either. Commander Vorn's final transmission arrived 17 minutes ago. His voice, filtered through 3 mouths that no longer stuttered or froze, spoke words I will transcribe exactly. Recording officer. The humans are not what we thought. They are not stronger. Not smarter. Not more advanced. They are simply more willing. Willing to see broken things and try to fix them. Willing to accept defectors. Willing to forgive enemies who become friends. The Revethian Collective will never understand this. They will classify our departure as desertion. They will send hunters. They will fail. Not because humans have superior weapons, but because every hunter they send will eventually be offered the same choice we were. And many will take it. A pause. Then, I hope you keep watching, Zell. But I hope you eventually step away from the window and walk through the door. The transmission ended. I have sat in this observation post for 600 cycles. I have watched 19 species break. I have documented the exact moment when hope dies in a subject's eyes. I have never once considered that hope might also live there, hidden, waiting for someone to notice. Captain Ilara Vance's transport is gone. The bottle sits on my console. The door to the docking bay remains unlocked. I could file my report. I could pretend this never happened. I could continue watching through reinforced quantum glass as the galaxy's empires grind broken people into dust. Or I could pick up the bottle, walk through the door, and discover what happens when a witness finally becomes a participant. The Revethian Collective will classify this as a security breach. Humanity will probably just call it Tuesday. I, Recording Officer Zell Craven, am closing my final observation log. The door is open. I am walking through it. 3 months later. I am no longer Recording Officer Zell Craven. I am simply Zell. The name feels lighter without the title attached. The human settlement on Terra 9's moon is called Haven. The name is not ironic. Humans do not do irony the way we learned it. They do sincerity instead, which is far more disorienting. I have been here for 72 days. I am still adjusting. Captain Ilara Vance meets me at the observation deck every morning. Not to supervise. To drink something called coffee and watch the double sunrise. She asks how I'm sleeping. She asks if the nightmares have stopped. She asks these questions as if my answers matter to her survival, not just to my productivity. The nightmares have mostly stopped. Commander Vorn Hex, he insists I stop calling him Commander, runs the settlement's negotiation training program. His 3 mouths have learned to speak in sequence rather than unison, which Terrans find charming rather than terrifying. He smiles now. It took his facial structure 6 weeks to learn how. Kalen the Render works in the medical bay. His neural filaments, once instruments of torture, now perform microscopic tissue repairs on patients who do not flinch when they see him. He sings while he works. Old healing chants from his homeworld, forgotten for decades, now echoed in human recovery rooms. Mistress Vesper leads group therapy sessions. The irony is not lost on any of us. The empath who once weaponized emotional trauma now teaches traumatized refugees how to breathe through their pain. Her silver eyes no longer weep. They shine. Tox Prince Mocker has rebranded himself as Dr. Mocker. His laboratory produces medicines that have cured 3 previously incurable off-world diseases. His toxin glands, now regenerated, synthesize compounds that taste like honey and heal like magic. The Revethian Collective classified him as a weapon. Humans classify him as essential personnel. And me? I document things. Not classified reports. Not psychological autopsies. I document recoveries. I record the moment when a broken soldier takes their first unassisted breath. I catalog the sound of laughter from species who forgot they could laugh. I archive the smallest victories, the ones that empires never bother to measure. Yesterday, a new transport arrived from Shadow Hold. It carried 15 more interrogation specialists who had watched my departure footage. 15 more broken predators who had seen an old recording officer walk through an open door and decided to follow. The Revethian Collective has issued a warrant for my arrest. Captain Vance framed it and hung it on the wall of the mess hall. Beneath it, someone wrote, "Wanted, dead or alive. Reward, one better offer." I drink my coffee. I watch the sunrise. I think about 600 cycles of watching minds break, and I realize I was never a neutral observer. I was waiting for someone to offer me a choice. The door is still open. More people are walking through it every day. And somewhere, in an empire that still doesn't understand what it's losing, 1,000 more broken predators are watching their own observation windows, wondering if the rumors are true. They are. We are here. We are fixing things. And we are just getting started. Final log. Zell Craven. Former recording officer. Current archivist of Small Victories.